Hello to Little Turtle Tuesday. It's been a while since we've done a Turtles product, and we have the latest Super 7 Ultimates here, and that's going to be Rat King. Now, we said we were not going to do all the Super 7 Ultimates, but we got to do Rat King because he's amazing, and he was subject to a lot of controversy in the past year. Initially, he was coming out, and people were upset because he had this boy band look, which they included as a head, but people wanted more of the original head in this figure. So, fortunately, we got that. We got multiple heads with this Rat King, and you'll also notice this release does not have that cover sleeve anymore. Now, they had said in the past, Super 7 said we're going to be done with the cover sleeves because we don't need them, people don't need them or want them anymore. So, you know, something that they could cut out, and it looks like they did because this one came shipped in just a plastic bag, no cover sleeve, unlike Triceraton, which still had the cover sleeve. So Rat King is the maniac leader of the Rat Pack. So that's a great description for him. But we have this latest villain here, and you can tell he's the villain because he has the darker box, and I think there's a foot stamp on there that usually tells you villain. But yeah, so looking great here. A lot of accessories. Immediately, I don't see the crossbow, so he's missing that. He does have the cat belt, but I don't see the crossbow or the grappling hook, which is weird because the grappling hook was also missing on the newest Playmates one when they did the re-release. So why don't we open this guy up, we'll check him out, and then we'll check him out compared to the Playmates Rat King from the original line that he is being compared to, or basically based on. So come on in closer for a look. And here he is, after all the delay, that Rat King. I have him with one of his weapons here. It's sort of like a pipe with a shiv on the end of it there. You could see him in this great deco. He's got the amazing paint job where the bones are painted, the rats are painted, his little knees sticking out there. He's got the centipede on him. Very, very, very similar to the original Playmates figure, and I'll show you that right here. You can see those bones independently painted, the rats independently painted. Centipede is not painted on this guy, but they kept all the standard deco on it, even the bald spots on the top of the head. Got to love that. So we'll put him away for now. We'll come back to him. So he's got a whole bunch of accessories, a bunch of hands. He's got these open hands. He's got fists. He's got the hands you have him on right now where he's clenching weapons. And then he's got these, I want to call them flute playing hands. So basically what you could do is it comes with a flute here. So you could have him holding the flute, and he could make it look like he is playing different parts of the flute with the hands. So just something fun you could do with it as well. So he does have the flute. You could hold the flute as well in here. So it's a nice flute, nicely designed there. He's got his little Rat King staff. So we'll put that in here too, so you could see that. So he comes there. I think Rat Man would have been more appropriate. Rat staff, rat flute, rat knife, rat whip. So he has this little whip here so that you could either poke in. I'm not really quite sure how you're supposed to hold this, so he could hold it in here, or you could hold it with two hands. It's kind of coiled, so they give you a bunch of options there with that. And then we have this little bandolier. Now originally it was a belt, and it kind of hung on the front, but you can't put it as a belt because it is basically just way too big, and it kind of fall off of him. So it's a bandolier, and I think the best way to wear this bandolier is across the back, so that it won't interfere with his face, because you'll see in a minute why. So we'll have the rat on the front here for the bandolier, and then on the back you have all these little gaps, and they're perfectly sized for each individual weapon. So there's a really tiny hole for the rat, there's a medium hole for this flute, and there's a big hole for the knife on the back as well. So you could post all three of those in there and have him carrying them on his back, and he could access them at his leisure, and you still have that cat. So they still kind of kept it, you know, in theme. I would have appreciated it if it was a belt, and I don't see why they couldn't made it a belt and just have the loops in the back for this guy to then just do it around the waist. They decided not to. They made it a bandolier for whatever reason. So he has a couple other heads in addition. He has a angrier head, although this head is more on point with the original head, where it's just slightly angry. And then they have the boy band head. A lot of controversy around this one. The newer versions of Rat King has him being a younger boy band look to him, with gorgeous locks of hair and a cleaner face, and not red eyes anymore. So I prefer the classic mummified look with insect crawling on him. I think it's just way better. If you want Boy Band Rat King, you could just pop the head off and pop this one on. I mean, I would recommend using a hairdryer just to warm it up a little bit, because these are really, really, really hard to do the first time you do them. Same with the wrists. What we usually do with the wrists is we do a twisting and pull method to get the wrists out. It's going to come default with the fists, so we just took those off to save time. But twisting and pulling as you're twisting will kind of get those out there without breaking these. These do break. I mean, take my word for it. I broke them on NECA before. I broke them on the 3.0s. I broke them on Super 7s. They break really easily. So you got to be really careful when changing hands. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a permanent hand that you're going to have to glue in there. So articulation-wise, he's still got the ankles. He's got the knees, the double knees on each side. He's got the hip here. He's got waist turning. And they got a shoulder joint, which this one is a little stiff. There we go. You can hear it click. So that is on a joint there. And then he's got a elbow. So you got the double elbow on each side. And he's got the wrist as well. And then you got the head is on a ball joint, so that can move every which way. So a lot of articulation, which is kind of standard with the Super 7 toys. So that's pretty cool. And then they just got so much deco. I mean, this rat is suspended on there. It's not attached. I mean, it's really cool that they really went all out in the deco on this one. And he's just like one of those classic guys, like you just love to have in your collection. So I'm glad that they brought him back and they made him in the Ultimates form here and added him to the line. Like he was essential. He was really missing. It took such a long time to come out. Same with the Playmates. The new version, if you go watch your video, it took about a year for them to get that out after they announced it. I'm not sure what happened, but they ended up cutting out the eye color, and they got rid of the grappling hook too, which was disappointing. But in terms of accessories that he's missing from the classic line, he's missing the rat bow. They didn't include that this time around. A little disappointing, because that was such a fun bow that shot rats at your enemies. And that rat came off, at least mine did, and so you kind of launch it. And then the rat grappling hook, that one's not there as well. I mean, I guess that made him look too much like Batman, but they're missing the rat grappling hook and the rat bow in this new version. So kind of sad we're missing those accessories, but everything else we got is great. Oh, I missed the bicep articulation. There we go. So that is basically what you have with your Ratman, or Rat King, I'm sorry, and all these great accessories and this extra little bandolier thing. I mean, I guess you could put the cat around front, but the problem is you're going to have the weapons like covering his face. They're kind of hard to get that way. It really depends on how you want to display them. If you want to do it this way, you could flip the accessories around, and then you could display it this way. But I'm not really sure what is correct. I mean, either way looks good to me. I kind of like the cat being around the front. I think it just adds a little more, makes the rat look like he's crawling up his back. So I think it just depends on your personal preference. It's just a little more in his face this way. That's why I think it's more appropriate to sort of just do it around the back and the front. That way he could clearly see here his front is not as busy in terms of real estate that all this stuff occupies. And then you got this like weapon bandolier look where he's pulling things out of his back like they're swords or something like that. So it just depends on how you want to display your character. But this, I think, is the intended way, but I might be wrong. So that is our look at Rat King, his various heads, and all his accessories. And that is your latest Ultimates figure in the TMNT line from Super 7. We don't cover every TMNT Ultimates figure. They're expensive. We don't get them for free. So we just kind of cover the ones we're really interested in here. This one, I think, was great. I mean, he's a must. If you're a classic fan, Rat King was just one of those really fun characters to have, really one of those really fun figures to have in your collection. So I'm glad to finally get the Ultimates version of him. There were just so many really great classic characters. Muckman and Mutagen Man were two really awesome ones too. I believe we covered those, so you can go back and check those videos out. But seeing this guy kind of just really feels like he was necessary, and it took a long time to come. And you know what? In all fairness, Playmates had a hard time bringing their Ratman back as well, because he was delayed a whole year almost before he hit shelves. And he came without the painted eyes, and he was missing an accessory. So we're not really sure what happened with that one. But we're glad to finally have Rat King here added to the line, and he has brilliant paint applications, he has all those classic features, and he's just the ultimate version of himself. So you can pick this one up right now. I think it's around 50. I'm not 100% sure, but I will have links for you to grab it at the best price we could find for you if you want to add him to your collection. He's shipping now, so I think you should be able to get a hold of him if he's not sold out. I haven't checked that yet, so maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I will put links up so you can grab them at your leisure. Coming up next, we got a little surprise for the end of the week. It's going to be something different. It's going to be Ghostbusters related. We love Ghostbusters. We always say the three things we love here more than anything else is Ghostbusters, Turtles, and robots in that order. So we always try to cover those three things whenever we have an opportunity, even if there's nothing new out there. So we'll be using that. And then next week, we start our Secret Wars coverage. So very excited about that. We've been planning that for a while. It takes a while to get all that together and to get everything ready, and it happened to coincide with the Marvel Legends 40th Anniversary Secret Wars release. So we'll be covering those side by side with the classic ones as well. So we're alternate between old and new, and we'll take that all the way until April. So we're gonna have that for a while. We'll have other things in there in between, I promise. We get a special theme for March. It's Monster March. I don't want to spoil what that means, so we just have to wait and see that, but there will be themed videos for the whole month on focusing on a monster theme. So come back for that as well. That's all for this time. Like, subscribe, and follow. See you guys next time.